was it was a very, very depressing time to be in Atlantic City and know the workers. Well, when the closings started, I had been president of Local 54, the Casino Workers Union, for almost 20 years. It was not a surprise because a casino had closed earlier in the year. A significant amount of the workers never worked again. They went into retirement early because there was nowhere to go once all those properties closed. And so unless they had a second job already, I remember many of them just retiring. People in their late 50s, thinking they're never going to get work again, and they left the city, they left the industry, and it was very devastating to the fabric of the city. That many people being out of work, all within a 1-year period. As the president of the local, I was part of the work the local did was to provide social services to the workers, because it didn't happen suddenly. We had months really to prepare for it, and when it happened, we were not prepared for the kind of response we had to that outreach. I mean, we used the convention center to help process people with their unemployment, with a bunch of services. Social Security, we had a whole team there from all over the place which were providing people with the kind of services they would need being out of work. Because the union and the non-union workers all together, there were at least 2,500 at each of those properties. So it was thousands of workers were out of work, and there was nowhere to get a job. So everyone was taking opportunities to do that, to go to retire, to do all kinds of things, trying to make ends meet. The hardest thing was Showboat. I opened Showboat. I started a little bit after it opened. And I worked there for almost 10 years before I became president of the union. I had many, many, many friends who I worked with and continued friendships, over the years prior to that place closing. When it did, it was just heartbreaking because so many workers were never going to see the inside of a casino again as an employee. And we knew it because there was nowhere to go. You had basically a third of the casino industry closed within 1 year. It was devastating. There was a lot. We also provided a lot of social services for mental health, because people didn't know what to do. They were, no one saves and prepares for that kind of thing. It was almost as if we had a hurricane hit or, a tsunami. There was just devastation. My biggest surprise was the resiliency of the workers in the industry. Like I said, some retired and some found work all over the county, working in different food and beverage establishments, hotels, non-casino hotels and stuff, cleaning companies. But the suffering that went on during that period was, it breaks your heart to think about it. People work their whole life, and then all of a sudden the roof caves in, and they don't have savings. Thank God we had some severance fund and things in the union, which we provided, but no one's prepared for the magnitude of that. Yeah, it was a very sad time, very sad time. The Trump Plaza people, it was very hard on them because at one time Trump Plaza was the class of the city. I mean, it was the best casino in the city, and and the other thing was a lot of folks, as I said, they were deep into their 50s. They had some people, and the most heartbreaking thing was some people, and I knew a lot of them, graduated high school and went into the casino industry. That was the progression that they did. And so their entire working career was in a casino. In some cases, they moved around a little bit, but many of them in Showboat and Trump Plaza, and not so much Ocean because it was a newer casino, but Atlanta Club, that was the only job they ever had, in that casino. That was it. That's whatever, 25 years, 30 years. And all of a sudden, everything was gone, really in a blink of an eye. So there was a lot of folks had a lot of hard times trying to deal with that, to deal with the psychological aspect of that. To think you're going along, you have a career, you have kids, they're in college, and then all of a sudden, no income. Social services, and that was helpful to a lot of people, but it was devastating. And I think those people, I run into them all the time, and I think they still carry that. They still carry that tragedy with them. And I think that's the one thing that I wish I could change, because that sense of they lost something. They lost something. It was taken from them through nothing that they did. I mean, it wasn't the work that they did. It was just the industry had collapsed, and the casinos had to make a decision, and it was very, very difficult. I'm just glad I didn't have to pick winners and losers. Coming from Showboat, a lot of people thought that Bally's should have closed and not Showboat, but they forgot that Bally's was attached to Caesars, so it didn't make sense because Showboat was a viable casino. They were profitable when they closed, but with the workers, or with all the casinos closing, and it being so far down the end of the line, it became a foregone conclusion, I think, unfortunately. The lesson learned is that some things you just can't stop. Nothing anyone could have done would have kept those casinos open, because they were not profitable anymore, because the customer base had gone to really several different states by that point. And so there was no way to maintain a casino of that size and have that many of them. There just wasn't enough business. And so some things you just can't fix. You can't fix with anything but supporting the people who lose the jobs. It was very much like a natural disaster. You can't predict what's going to happen, and the people that get damaged by it are going to carry that damage the rest of their life, unfortunately.